Finally! Alright guys, we are back with another review, and finally we are looking at the SH Figuarts Toji Fushiguro. We have waited so long for this. All the Where's Toji comments can finally end. He is finally in our hands, so I won't waste too much of your time. Let's get started by looking at the box. Typical Jujutsu Kaisen packaging. You got the side here, some pictures on the back, some pictures on the side, picture on the top, and a picture on the bottom. Now, let's get him out of here. First impressions, this guy just looks so cool. I mean, Toji has got an incredible design, simplistic yet effective. It's just perfect in every way. I just love how cool he looks, and they captured it very well in the figure. He's got his very muscular build, he's got his compression shirt, and then his baggy pants. All of it comes together just to create a really simple but awesome character design. Taking a closer look at his face, you can see they nailed the likeness. You can see the hair looks really nice, the face print also looks really good. And then here's the back. I really don't have much to say except for the fact that this all just looks really good. Now, this is the one part of the aesthetic that kind of falls flat, is due to the fact that they had to make a joint here, you know, it looks pretty nasty back here. But if you ignore that, it all does look very, very awesome. Now, there is one thing about this guy's look that I think could be off-putting to some, and that is the fact that he is a little bit shiny. He definitely does not have a matte finish going on anywhere, especially on his upper body. I feel like the pants, while still being shiny, aren't as bad as it is up here. His arms look pretty oiled up, but definitely his shirt, it looks like this dude just jumped into a pool and just climbed out. But I'll be honest, I do think it looks worse on camera than it does in person. You know, you got to think about this. I've got giant lights facing Toji from both sides, so yeah, that might explain why it looks worse here. So yeah, nothing too crazy, but just something to think about before you buy him. Now, let's see what Toji comes with, and I think he comes with a great assortment of accessories, so let's start with his faces. First, you've got his normal looking face. Next, an absolutely devious looking to the side face. I mean, look at that expression. That looks super cool. Then you've got a smiling face where he's showing his teeth. He just looks like he's plotting something. And lastly, an open mouth smile where he just looks even crazier. I love the expressions on these faces. They nailed them. And then here's something really cool. He comes with an alternate hair sculpt, so you can have a more windswept look to his hair. Looks really nice all the way around, and it really elevates the action poses. The worst part about this piece is swapping it out though, because if we take a look under his face, you see that piece right there. You have to take that out of the hair sculpt and then put it in the other one, and then you can swap everything. So yeah, it's kind of annoying that this wouldn't just be also in here. Like, why couldn't they both have that in them so we don't have to go through all that? But it doesn't take too much time, so I'll forgive it for now. Now, Toji comes with a pretty good assortment of hands, starting with these normal fist hands. Then he's got two grabbing hands to hold his weapons. Then he's got some relaxed open hands. And then two really awesome action hands. I love these ones because they make poses look super, super cool. And then finally, he comes with both hands clasped together in order to do his stretch. Next up, let's take a look at Toji's tools, starting with the inverted spear of heaven. Done very well in figure form, and it fits perfectly with him. And then we have the split soul katana. I really, really like the look of this one. You can see the wear and tear on the blade, and then of course the hilt also just looks really, really cool. And then of course Toji comes with his cursed spirit. The strange inventory worm looking thing holds all of his cursed tools, but it completes his look and looks super awesome on him. Now, in order to actually put the cursed spirit on him, you need to remove his neck, and then there's a piece on the cursed spirit here that you have to remove. And once that's gone, you replace it with this piece. And once that's in there, you can officially grab Toji and then put the cursed spirit into the neck area. Then you can wrap it around him and put his head right back on. And now boom, he's got his cursed spirit around him and he looks awesome. And now for Toji's final accessory, it isn't actually for him. Instead, it is for the SH Figuarts Teen Gojo. You get this extra bloody face for him, the whole honored one moment. It looks super, super cool. Here it is on the actual Teen Gojo figure, and it looks really nice. They did a really good job with this head sculpt, and I'm honestly glad Toji comes with it. So yeah, overall, Toji comes with no shortage of accessories. I think you get just about all you need, and you can get him into some pretty awesome poses with what he comes with. Alright, and now it's time to look at Toji's articulation, and I think he is very well off in this category. First, let's start with his head. He can look about that far up using all of his neck, and as you can see, his neck does get pretty gappy there, but honestly, with the right angle, you know, I don't think it matters too much. Anyway, his head can move this far down using the neck as well, so pretty good there, and then you can kind of move it all the way. Oh, be wary of that, his neck pops off pretty easily since it's designed to hold the cursed spirit around it. But yeah, it can move around very well if you use the neck and everything. If you just use the head, you do get some range, but overall the neck is going to be doing you the most favors. Next up, his massive shoulders. So he can raise his arms up about that high, which is insane, very good range. And then he's got some butterfly joints here that work very well. I mean, you can see just how well they cross over his main body. I mean, I'm honestly impressed. I wasn't expecting something like that. And now, of course, they also go very far back because he needs to be able to do his stretch pose. So you can make both hands touch in the back by just using the butterfly joints, and that is pretty awesome. Next up, he's got a bicep swivel that works very well, and then a double jointed elbow, super awesome. And then a peg at the wrist that kind of moves around however you want it to. Next up, let's take a look at his torso range. Now this is something I'm not expecting to be crazy, but let's see, maybe we'll be impressed. And yeah, it's nothing crazy. So as is per usual with the JJK line, he doesn't have an insane ab crunch, but it's definitely not that bad. I mean, I can work with this, and you know what? It is an ab crunch. At least something's there. Now, as for the back bend, he can bend back extremely far. Like that's pretty insane. Like, I don't know why it's so much better than bending forward, but I will take it. That is awesome. And then you can move around his little belt here so you can make it sway in the wind. For his legs, they can almost do the splits, which is very nice. He's of course got a thigh swivel that also works very well. His legs can go that far forward and then not very far back because of the butt piece here. And then this was probably my biggest worry about the figure was his knees. They are single jointed knees. They look very weird back here and they bend, and well, it's about a little over 90 degrees, so it's not terrible for his baggy pants. I'm not a big fan of this like joint being so visible here, but ultimately during posing I feel like you don't notice it too much. Now they did try to alleviate the issue at the range by including a little joint here around the shin, and while it is nice to have, it's really not doing you any wonders with how small the gap is. Now onto his feet, they can move back and forth. They have a good ankle rocker that works both ways very well. And then of course, a toe hinge that is kind of pathetic. So yeah, overall, Toji's got great articulation. There's only a few things here and there that aren't super crazy, but even then they work as intended and they're just about as much range as you need. So I definitely think you can get him into any pose you want using the articulation that's here. Alright, now it's time for some comparisons. First of all, let's see him next to all the other JJK figures. First, here he is next to Sukuna. Now, forgive me, I don't have Yuji, so this is the closest we'll get to a Yuji comparison in this video. And then, here he is next to Teen Gojo with the face sculpt that he comes with. Here he is next to Team Geto. I don't know what he's laughing at on his phone, but it must be very funny. And then, here he is next to his son, and as you can see, Megumi is actually like a little bit taller, kind of funny. And now, here he is next to both Zero Gojo and the main Gojo. This has probably got to be bro's worst nightmare. And then here he is next to Nobara, and finally next to Yuta, and I'm so hyped for the new figure. I cannot wait for that to come out, along with the Yuji. That one looks super cool. Now for some other brands, here he is with Figma Satsuki, SH Figuarts The Games Begin Goku, and finally Reveltech Juri. So yeah, this guy is gonna fit just fine with the rest of the JJK figures, and then of course he also goes very well with any other figure line. In conclusion, I love this figure. I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit hesitant when it first started releasing. There was this really awkward video that showed him looking very, very bad. He was shiny, he looked like he didn't pose well. Turns out that was just someone who I don't think could pose very well and didn't have very good lighting. But luckily for us, in hand, this guy looks incredible, even if he is a tad bit shiny in some places, and he poses very well. The only problem with posing is maybe in the knee area, but even then, I think it gives you just enough range to where you can work with it. So overall, I'm gonna give Toji an 8 out of 10. I love this guy. He's just a fun figure to pose, and man, he is just one of the coolest characters of recent times. Alright guys, that is gonna do it for this review. Thank you for watching. Let me know if you want me to review a specific figure in the comments, and I will see you all in the next review.